This week on Bus Survival, man faces bug bites, cuts from metal, heat exhaustion, and horrible allergies. Woman has to face horrible attitude from man. Will they make it? Episode 3 of Survive the Bus Build.
This is episode 3 of our shuttle bus build.
Ride across this country into the starlight. 12,000 miles, turn back, do it again. No destination, it's just a journey. You were my lover and friend.
People ask us all the time, what is the best tool that you can buy for your bus build? We think the Chewini is the best tool that you could ever get. Fits right in your tool bag, on sale at Home Depot. And he loves it. He just wants to ride around with me the whole time. Hi, bud. You like your pouch? Drew, what happened to your leg?
I cut myself on a piece of metal. I walked into a sharp piece of metal that was sticking up into the air. Sliced it.
Oh no.
Yep, that's it. I'm retiring after today.
You have to file a report with your boss.
I am. Taking this to the top.
How are you feeling? Start of week 3.
Got a Jolly Rancher, so I'm ready to go.
A large portion of this week was spent getting our workspace up and running. We had to clean out this tent. It had all kinds of different machinery and all sorts of weird things in there.
Workshop update. We have all this space. We still gotta set it up, but we got some space to set things up now. We're getting close. Gotta put a new top on here soon. And then we'll be able to set up an efficient, cohesive workspace when we get to the more technical stuff of the woodworking and all that good stuff. Still got a ways to go in here, but should be set in about another week, hopefully.
The canvas, it's like a plastic covered canvas, had to be cut off of this tent and replaced. The frame needed to be relined up and repaired, and then we had to recover it. Once we did all of that, we were able to finally back our bus into this tent. That was a nice moment to get the bus inside. But once we got inside, it was so hot and humid this week.
Yeah.
We were just in a little oven.
Oh, yeah.
It was just a little human oven.
Yeah.
And we were just cooking ourselves, so we had to cut the hole in the other end. We were gonna put a door there anyway, but we had to cut it this week before the door was ready, just to get some ventilation in there.
So we're super fortunate and grateful to have this workspace, so we're not complaining, but here's me not complaining about this week. I got to work as a circus laborer, putting up tents, so that was fun. I kind of felt like that.
It did kind of feel like that.
And then I really felt like I was a railroad worker, like old-time railroad worker with the pick and the shovel. A couple hours of that, and I was...
And it was so hot and humid that
Oh, it was
day.
the warmest day, too.
Hey, Drew, it's the warmest day of the week. Here's a pickaxe.
It's the warmest day of the year so far. Check this out. Dig some rock out of the ground.
It is good to have a space for the bus outside of the elements, so even if it's a rainy day, we can still work on the bus. So that's good. It's been a really, really long journey, but baby steps, we're almost there. All that we really have to do now is just get our door installed and get more organized. Our tools and everything is just all over the place, and we're super unorganized right now, but baby steps in the right direction. In episode 2, we talked about sealing the roof with Henry's Tropicool. So that worked really well, but when it rained this week and the bus was still outside, we did see that the front seam, there's a seam right in between kind of where the bubbly top of the bus that's over the cab and the house piece of fiberglass meet. It was sealed in a horrible, horrible way. And it started to leak. So even despite the Tropicool, that was just too much of a leak for the Tropicool to handle. And I don't know why I didn't think of this, because I know this. Nothing sticks to silicone, And Tropicool is 100% silicone. Even on our last bus, I did all the lap sealant, any kind of seam tape that we needed, and then I put the Tropicool on top. So I don't know why I just jumped in there with the Tropicool and didn't try to do any other lap sealant, but a portion of this week was spent scraping the Tropicool off of where that seam is. There's one in the front and there's one in the back I decided to do as well. And when we installed our roof rack, I also had to scrape off a little circle around each of the roof rack feet so that I could put some lap sealant around that as well. At this point, I just feel like that scraper is permanently attached to my hand. I'm never gonna get rid of that thing. I am doing something really unfortunate right now. I'm scraping some of the Tropicool off of certain areas of the bus roof. And that is because nothing sticks to silicone, and Tropicool is 100% silicone. So I have to remove some places where I need to use lap sealant, like around all the supports of the roof rack, and that seam of the bus up front still leaks. I want to use Eternabond and lap sealant on it, but that means that I have to remove the Tropicool. So it's not ideal, but it's not the worst. I don't have to scrape all of it off, so it'll be okay. But I guess you just learn as you keep using these products. Oh well.
It's sort of a case of fast is slow, where slow is probably efficient. You're still going to have mistakes like this, but it's good to not try to rush things too much, because now you have to undo work you did, which actually took longer than probably the original process of even the whole seal.
Definitely. And
then do something else and then go back. But it happens for sure. But definitely try to take your time thinking about your next move. Otherwise, you make double and triple work a lot. We did that a lot in the beginning of the other build, but we've learned mostly. So it's still going to happen from time to time. You can't be too upset about it.
So this is me telling you, if you're going to use Tropicool, do all of your sealing, your lap sealant, seal around your seams, do your roof rack, any of that first. Seal all those things, get them ready to go, and then put your Tropicool on top of that. I don't know why we're here. I know this. I don't know what I was thinking, but it's not a big deal. It's already fixed, and all the leaks are good to go.
Next up was the AC unit. Do we keep it or do we pull it?
This was a hotly debated topic in the comments section. People told us to keep it. People told us to get rid of it. People didn't understand what we were talking about. So we decided to remove it.
Yeah, we came to the same conclusion as we did in our bus, that it's too inefficient. You can't run it unless you are running the engine, which isn't super worthwhile. It was in the back of the house as opposed to over the cab, so it was even more of a waste of space.
There was the interior unit and the exterior unit, so there were a bunch of bolts basically that you had to remove, and then we had to use the angle grinder to remove the bolts that were actually welded into the frame. So we did all that. We dropped both the units, but for quite a few days they were still connected to the bus. It was like an umbilical cord, and they just kind of sat outside the bus while we did our other work and waited for the HVAC guy to come by.
We had a HVAC professional come by and recover the refrigerated gas that runs the AC part.
A lot of you guys asked for recommendations on how to remove these units because they are confusing and a little bit intimidating, but you need to go to a professional in your state because these laws vary state to state as to what you can do, how you can recover it, who can recover it. So we followed our local state guidelines. We had someone come out and do it for us, so we didn't even have to worry about it.
So we were able to cut those coolant lines, drain off the extra coolant. We clamped them off first, and then we plugged at where we cut. Eventually we'll trace it back to the engine and permanently remove the lines there, or we'll have a mechanic do that. But for the time being, we just wanted to plug those so we could get that big unit out of the way. I'm disconnecting the coolant line, so I got it double clamped. Hopefully that holds the pressure back enough. I'm gonna cut it, plug it for now. Eventually, either I or a mechanic will trace it back to the engine and completely disconnect it. But for now, I'm just getting this stuff out of my way. doing a surprisingly decent job at cutting a straight line with this razor blade. Wanted to use my PEX cutting tool because that would be way easier and perfect. But I can't find it right this second. The show must go on. There we go. Pull that out and then we'll come back and plug it. Got this brass plug. Make sure you get the right size. Should be kind of tough to get in there. If you cut it clean, it should go in really nice and square. Push it in there. Get one of these bad mamma jammas. You could probably use like the PEX clamping rings too. That'd probably be more permanent. This is temporary though, so let's see if they leak at all now that I don't have a towel available. Okay, one clamp off. Look pretty good. They're not going to leak like this. They may leak when you run the engine. That's when you'll know if you got a good seal. Once again, this is temporary. You're going to want to trace this back to the engine. Plus, we got to pull these out of here anyways. And then you can completely disconnect it eventually. So that works for now. It's doing a good job. After that, it was just wires, so we just cut those and we'll remove those from the distribution box as well.
After all that time of just sitting outside the door connected by all those huge cables, it was finally out.
Could get that hazard out of there. It's a trip hazard.
Yeah.
Not OSHA approved.
No, not at all. How's it going, Drew?
Like a beached whale.
Got some allergies going on?
Uh-huh.
You look like you're doing really good.
I feel great. I think this is my final resting place. See you guys later. So imagine you got your new shuttle bus and you're ready to put that roof rack on. Oh man, look at this great build we got. It's perfectly flat roof, 1-inch square tubing. Oh wait, that was last bus. This one has been a headache, and I know they're all different from friends and from our 2 buses we've done. We had to solve a lot of problems on this one, so it took us a lot more time. I think our bus took like maybe half a day to do this rack. This one has been like almost 2 weeks of just problem solving again.
This roof rack has been a beast of a project. First it was the curve of the roof, and then it was the type of framing that they installed on the inside and remediating all those little problems of bowing, and it was the thickness of the fiberglass they installed, and there's wood in there somewhere. Just one after another, we thought we were in the clear, and it just flew downhill again, and we had a whole new batch of problems to solve.
Yeah, we started with the same basic principles of how we did the rack on our bus, but we quickly realized there were a lot of amendments that needed to be made.
The roof is curved, and that was our first hurdle to get over. So, like we said, our bus roof was flat. We didn't have to deal with any of that. So this involved finding the angle of the roof. We had to use a piece of cardboard and trace the end of the roof and then kind of measure where our spacers were going to be, figure out the angle. I think it was a 9.5 degree angle, because you can't just slap a regular 90 degree spacer on there because it's going to tilt outward because your roof is curved. So not only did we have to make up the gap from where the spacer was to the middle of the roof because you don't want your panels to sit on the roof, we also had to account for that angle and make sure that it ended up at 90 degrees. This is what is going to space our horizontal unistrut pieces from the fiberglass roof. We have 4 inches that we're spacing it up off the roof, and in reality that only gets it 1 inch off of the highest part of the roof because our roof is sloped and curved. So this is a 90 degree angle up here where it meets the unistrut, but down here had to be a 9.5 degree angle so that it will lay flat to our roof, which is angled. So we think we have all of that right. This is going to get a little foot on it, and then we're going to be cutting some rubber mat to size and putting it underneath the spacer, underneath the unistrut. Hopefully that will distribute all the weight of the rack and the solar panels, everything that's going up there, because where this meets the fiberglass roof is the most delicate part. That fiberglass is only a 1/4 inch thick, so you could crack it really easily if you're just distributing all this weight onto these points and driving with it rattling over weeks and months and years. Your roof could crack. So hopefully everything we did with that to distribute the weight will work, and everything will clear the highest part of the roof, and hopefully it'll look good after all of that. Cut the unistrut and welded it onto the spacers. We mocked it up and put it up on the roof. We drilled all of the holes in the frame of our bus, which is always a little stressful.
It definitely is, but we had to go on.
We used a drill, drilled right up through the U channels. We chose 4 of the evenly spaced channels, drilled up through them, put the bolt up, and then we were able to figure out where our spacers needed to be. We measured it all out, but we wanted to mock it up to make sure that we were correct. Double, triple check.
Yeah.
We also drilled a little weep hole in the side. Because of the unistrut, there was a hole in the top, and then rain would have just collected inside of the spacer. There were all these little things that we had to figure out kind of as we went. Once we installed the whole thing, several things were an issue. When we did that and really torqued the bolts down, the roof was bowing.
We quickly realized that it being a C channel with tabs on each side, it's basically open in the middle, and the only thing giving it support there was a piece of wood that's inside the fiberglass. So when you started putting force down, it's pushing the fiberglass in the wood, which is not good. So we realized we needed to make that one solid piece of metal. We had to make these like kind of C metal spacer block, and then that goes around the bolt, and now it goes and covers the whole channel. So now you have one solid, it's like one solid bar. So then when you apply pressure, it's onto this metal plate here, which is then on the bar. So that fixed that problem.
We basically just bridged the gap of the U channel. Why did they use U channel?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's so annoying.
It's a bad choice.
Even once we installed the little C washers that we made for the inside, we tried to torque it down again and it bowed even with those little washers. So we decided to make these 4-inch by 4-inch feet, and we curved them just a little bit so that they would sit on our curved roof.
Yeah.
Flat, because you couldn't just make them flat. The edges would have come up. We cut some rubber to go underneath those 4x4 feet, and there's also a little bit of rubber underneath the spacer too, just so that metal wasn't rubbing on metal. We didn't weld them on, we just kind of sandwiched those together. I brought my matcha up onto the roof with me this morning because we started early with getting these little spacer feet things underneath all the pieces of the roof rack, all the side-to-side pieces. We put it on and decided that we didn't really like how it was sitting on the roof, so we made these bigger, wider pieces to distribute the weight, and put little rubber pieces underneath the metal. So hopefully these will work now. The bowing of the roof into the U-channel was one issue, but the other issue is that the front bar, the one closest to the front bumper, was just a little too close to that seam that I was talking about that we had to seal, and it was bowing the roof a lot more than we were comfortable with. As soon as we installed it, we went, whoa, that is not gonna be okay. So we decided to weld in more pieces of channel so that we could move that bar back away from that seam. It really, really needed it. And as soon as we moved it back, it was perfect.
Yeah, no, it's great.
My dad helped us weld those pieces of channel in because I haven't done any out of position welding yet. Yeah. So we decided to save a little time and just have him do it. It took him 10 minutes. It would have taken me like an hour or two.
So when you're making your tool checklist for your build, you're gonna get your table saw, your miter saw, your drills, obviously, your Kevin, and if you're so lucky, that's the one you want to have that in your toolbox. For
Everybody
sure.
needs a Kevin.
Should make that onto a t-shirt.
Everyone needs a Kevin. The final sandwich of our roof rack,
tasty.
from interior to exterior, is as follows. There's a bolt and a washer, and then we silicone the bolt before we push it up through the hole just to kind of seal from the inside. Then it goes up through the U-channel, which is the frame of our bus, through the U-channel into the C washer that we made and put in there. The wood that's just randomly in there, not sure why that's there. The fiberglass, which is the exterior of our bus. So now you're on the roof. A little rubber pad, our 4x4 foot, another little rubber pad, the spacer, the unistrut, a square washer, a lock washer, and a lock nut.
That's a tasty sandwich. Throw a little sriracha on there, count me in. The way we designed this roof rack is similar to like ladder racks you'd see on like a painting truck or something like that, or a van. So we took the unistrut and we put them side to side at 4 points from back to front and bolted those directly into the frame. So now on top of that you can do unistrut runs that go bumper to bumper, and you can control the width of those. So depending on what you want to put up there, and particularly what size solar panels, you can adjust the width to fit those solar panels, so you're not stuck and boxed in one thing. So it's very customizable and very adjustable. If you add it all up, it's quite a few things we had to do to make it solid, but it's definitely super solid now. We fixed it, but it was a journey, and like I said, every one of these roofs is different. You don't know until you tear that ceiling out.
It looks really good.
Yeah, it looks super solid now. It feels really solid, so we definitely are happy with it now. It just took a little while to get here.
This week was a real struggle, but we made it.
Yeah,
we got through. I think this roof rack, which is honestly what took up most of the week, it was a really good lesson in how to fabricate things properly and how to problem solve in real time. You know, we would think we were at the end, we'd go to install it, more problems, have to fix them. How are we gonna do it? And we got through. We made it.
Yeah, we got through it.
We've got a lot planned for next week, so we're gonna go get started on those things.
Yeah, all that sandwich talk has got me pretty hungry, so I'm gonna go ahead and fabricate myself some lunch, and I'll see you guys next time. Do those things that people do on the internet, the liking and all that stuff.
Do all those things. We'll see you next time, guys.
Later.
Bye.